Hi everyone, my name's PK, and here I have Thao Bui here, who's a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. Thao has bought three properties in the last 12 months and just kicked goals all around, improving her wealth, improving her passive income, improving her knowledge, education, and road to financial independence. And I requested Thao to come on and share her best insights and lessons learned and tips and tricks so that you guys, anyone who's watching or listening, can also repeat this, whether or not you do the course. That's really non-consequential. So, Tao, I just wanted to say, I mean, we've already been talking, but once again, a big, big congratulations, and I'm just really proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you, BK. Thanks for having me on today.
And so I'll just introduce your portfolio real quick, and then maybe we'll get into some questions. But you bought three properties. The first one was in regional Queensland for 284. This was 12 months ago. And now fast forward, it's risen by 23% in 12 months, or 12 or 13 months. And it's at 350. That's the valuation now. So like that's really pleasing to hear because 12 months ago, like interest rates just started rising. And despite that rate rise, it's gone up almost 25%. The rent was 440 on a 284 purchase. So, I mean, it's just fantastic. The second property was bought for 262. This was in regional Victoria and the rent was 350. That's performed really well and that was already renovated. And then I think Tao got a little bit of we'll get into this, or we got a little bit of a taste or addiction for renovation. And she really doubled down on that. And the most recent property is over in WA. It's in Perth. She got this for 342,500. The rent is 550. So like I think that's like an 8% yield or something. Like that's a pretty fantastic yield. And she did a $12,000 renovation on that completely interstate. So like, all of these are high growth locations and properties. They've already grown. They're all, really high cash flow. And it's just like textbook property investing. So I guess like, when someone hears or watches this, Tao, they might, be almost assuming that you knew a lot going into this. But maybe if we start from the start, what was like your property background, like let's say 12 months before or 24 months before you did the course?
Yeah, thanks, BK. So the reason I start learning to invest in properties because I had a good success in my property journey. With the long-term buy and hold, we held a first investment for 7 years, and it like grew up 200K when we sold it. And the second investment, it was a unit. We just bought in our backyard. It's just a suburb near us. And it's grew like 300K when we bought it, and we held only 5 years. So I thought, yeah, we know what we're doing. We must have done something right.
Yeah.
And then when we sold the second investment, make money, and we thought, what's next for us? We went and listened to a buyer's agent, and we didn't have to pay for this buyer's agent. Obviously, is a house and land package in Western Melbourne. It was 550, and he probably got the commission from the developer. So it was the tactic of the tax benefit, depreciation, so it can reduce my husband tax. And yeah, the numbers looks right, looks okay. It's positive cash flow, but it's only worked with low interest rate.
Mhm.
But when it's high interest rate, like right now, it's heavily negative gear.
Right.
So I quickly realized that after, so back in when was COVID, and I saw your post and I saw what you're doing. So I said I make a mistake and I can't make the same mistake again. So I can't buy anything in Melbourne because everything gone up so high. So I listened to what you said. I said I have to buy high yield. I have to buy positive cash flow and positive gear. So that's when I started doing your course and start buying. And with interstate, I never thought of buying interstate before. It's just something that like I never thought I could. But after doing your course, I'm like, oh, great, this is the numbers right. The house looks fine, and especially vacancy rate compared to the Western Melbourne that I bought house and land package. The yield, I mean, the vacancy rate was like over 2%, 3%. I would struggle to rent it out, but this one is like 0.2% with some places. Like when we look at regional Queensland, the first one we bought, and I said, that's amazing. This strategy, if it works, I will be fine in the next 5-10 years time. Like if I keep buying 2 or 3 houses every year, I'll be passive income by 10 years. And the more I doing this strategy, the more I see is real, like reality for me. It's like it's doable. It's not hard. You just have to keep doing it, because I know a lot of friends, a lot of family that I spoke to, when they start thinking about buying investment and rent it out, it was something that's really hard. It's like you don't want to get bad tenants, or it's like they don't want to go through the loan approval, and it was challenged. Like it's really time consuming, and not everybody can do it. But the more I do it, I said, I found my passion now. I just like every time I talk about property, everywhere I go and all my friends I talk to, I start telling them this is what I want to do. I just want to buy 2-3 house every year, and by the time 3-5 years time, I get 10. And if the property go up in value, I can sell 5 and then pay off 5 and live off that rental income from 5 investment. And look at the yield, the rental that I got, and I do my numbers, 450 per week for 5 houses, you get like 117K a year. And by the time you pay all the tax and expenses, it's like passive income 70K. And yeah, so it's working. I can see it works. I just have to make it happen. Keep buying. So the strategy that I use, I do believe in renovation and add value. You force value so you have to buy under market, but you have to renovate force value, and you get better tenants. So it works. When I did my renovation in regional Queensland, from the beginning when I bought 284,500, and the property manager was saying is you could rent it out for 380 to 400. And I said, that's right. It's like 6-7% yield. And I think that's great already. But when we listed, we got the tenant offer like 440. And I said, that's awesome, because my LVI is over 20% deposit, and the loan, the interest rate that I pay, this income is way outweigh my expenses.
Right.
So it just paid for itself. So the first one worked. The second one I bought in regional Victoria, it's not as great yield, but then I didn't have to do anything because I bought 2 at the same time.
Yeah,
like
I remember that. It was a bit of a
pretty
stressful
much
period.
a week or 2 after each other, because I saw this one and I said, this been renovated. I was trying to do renovate for my regional Queensland at that time, because it just got into unconditional, and I managed to get early access. So most of my properties was renovated before the settlement. So when the settlement done, I could rent it out straight away, just the one or 2 days after the settlement. A lot of people, when I told them that I did that, and they were surprised, and they like, how can you do that? How can you get early access even before you own it?
Mm.
It's possible.
Just a clause, right? It's just a
It's a
simple
clause.
sentence
Yeah,
in the
you just
special
put
conditions
simple
box.
clause. And I remember a lot of people before I bought my Perth, everybody's saying, with Perth, it's very hard to negotiate early access.
Mm-hmm.
It's like impossible. And I said, how is that impossible? I just negotiate with my selling agent, and I explained to him, um, if I'm not like, if I renovate it and if the settlement doesn't go through, then it's the seller benefit because they got to have the full renovated house. It's like
Yeah.
it's my loss, not their loss. So I don't understand how. And but the thing that he put on the clause, he accept my early access. However, I have to complete whatever I do.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Which
whatever
makes sense. Otherwise, you
it
can
makes
leave it
sense.
half
And I said,
done.
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, but the more I pick, I bought 3 now, and I'm so addictive to buying now, Pico.
Property
I
Investors
love
Anonymous.
talking.
Join the club.
I love talking to real estate agent. I love talking to property manager, and I love to look at the house as what the renovation potential. Um, and yes, there is the challenge to get loan, and you need money for deposit. But that's my next challenge, because I'm on my I'm trying to get the new loan for my next purchase, and it's hard. Like the borrowing capacity and the interest rate rising now, no matter what people say out there, it's struggle. Like it's struggle, but at least I think I learned with the education. I learned you have to have a buffer in place.
Mm-hmm.
If you have your buffer, and when the interest rate rise, you know the repayment that will get sorted, and the rental will cover the rent.
Yeah.
The rental will cover the interest rate, repayment, and other expenses. Even if you have to pay 5,000 a year per property, I think that's still fine. Like,
And just to be clear, I don't think you are paying 5,000 a year per property,
no,
are you?
not for these.
Yeah,
None of
not for
my
these ones.
properties right now. That's what I learned. But I did for my Western Melbourne,
The Western Melbourne
the
one.
Western Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a good point because, like the media makes a big deal out of, property investors they got in 2020, 21, 22. Now they're all leveraged up to their neck. And when interest rates rise, there's massive defaults and this and that. I mean, for people who perhaps bought in Western Sydney, Western Melbourne, last year, the year before, maybe they are experiencing pain, but what I love about it, and it's not my strategy, like I can't just take credit, there's no secret sauce, but if you can buy interstate and buy high yielding properties that pay for themselves without sacrificing the growth, then even if you bought last year, like quote unquote on the top of the market, like you did, you're still okay. And just to be clear, like even though it was the top of the Sydney market, where you bought wasn't the top of the markets, in regional Victoria, regional Queensland and Perth. So there's always money to be made. And, like you said, borrowing capacity is, unfortunately, there's no silver bullet. There's no secret sauce. There's ways to optimize it. But these things are cyclical. APRA and how, much they tighten the screws on banks, it's cyclical. It goes tight, tight, loose, tight, loose. Same with interest rates. They go up and down. And what I really like is, honestly, when you were talking about it, I was like, you feel you've got a big smile on your face, and it's almost like property investing is fun for you. Like, I don't know if fun and easy would be the right thing. It's not like a walk in the park, but
Not
it's
easy, to be
fun and,
honest.
and
Yeah.
joyful. Yeah.
But I find it. Every property that I bought, the experience that I had, I could never find that in my business journey. It's very satisfying.
Sure. I just want to touch on that. So like, what does your partner, you say you had a business, I think you're recently selling it. What does your partner, your husband, think about all of this? Like, because you've kind of done, I don't know, maybe this is unfair. You've done it the hard work, quote unquote, in this property journey. Was he supportive of you going down this path? Was he supportive of you, I don't know, doing my course? What does he think now?
Last year when I said to him, I'm gonna do this course, and he wasn't supportive. He said, you got to be careful what you don't want to give people money and you don't know if it's going to work. But for me, I'm more like the risk taker. I like to try things and I like to do things, and then I found out later if it's a mistake or not.
Okay, interesting approach.
I don't know. I trust. When I listen to you and I'm in the other investor Facebook group and I see people done. A lot of people have 10 houses, and I'm like, how can you get even 10? I'm struggling to have 2. Like with my negative gear Western Melbourne, I was struggling to buy the second one. How can people do it? It must be a way to do it. If people do it, I can do it. So that's why I'm like, I've got to try. Even I can't find the success in this, but at least I know. But at least I try. That's the first thing that I thought. Because I don't want to be stuck and I don't want to sit there and do nothing. So he was a bit worried, but I have to say at the beginning when I did. But I think in a few months later, like when I bought the properties and I show him what the numbers look like and I show him this is the strategy, I think it will work for us, because my plan is I don't want to work in 10 years time. Like I want to retire or financially freedom. I don't want to work full time. I want to do something that I like, and he agreed with me, because after COVID we was doing business for over 6 years and we worn out. We were really tired. We said, I don't want to do this anymore. This is even harder than working full time 9 to 5. Like you got home later and then when you got home, your mind's still worried.
Yeah, it doesn't switch off.
Doesn't switch off. And even when we go holiday, we still think about the business. We still worry. So it's the decision that I made. I had to let it go. And I have to try something else. So this is something that I found it's give me passion and give me the confidence that what I'm doing is at least make me happy.
Sure.
And so he saw that, and he saw me every day. I'm trying to learn. I read books. So every time I said, can you buy me this book? And I read it, and I think it's just a communication. I explained to him, this is what I'm doing, and I think this work is if you buy 10 properties every 300K, the rent pay for itself. You don't have to put any money. You just have to have the initial deposit, and you just buy and forget. Just 5-10 years time, 200K 300K property, if it's go up to 450, just say it's still better than do any other business. I reckon it's most profitable, and you don't need to do anything. The tenants pay for your mortgage expenses. It just you just have to find the right location and the right properties. I think it will work. It will work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, I mean,
he
it is a business in one sense. Real estate or property investing is your business. It just happens to be one that isn't so laborsome and tiring. And as you said, I really like it. You're saying it makes you happy. And of course, which husband doesn't want to make their wife happier? And of course, vice versa as well. And you've done this sitting there in Melbourne. You haven't caught flights. You haven't used buyer's agents. You haven't wasted your weekends doing inspections. I don't know, like if you, sorry, I just have to ask this question because I find it like psychologically very interesting. And in like your friend circle or like your community, are there other people who invest in property, or are you like the role model or the maverick, or what is there? I don't know if you share this publicly, but what do they think about your quote unquote success?
None of my friends bought interstate before, and everyone just buy on their backyard. They do buy properties. My cousin, my family, they all buy in the backyard, buy in Melbourne. So when I told them I bought interstate, everyone was like, just like, how you didn't catch any fly and you didn't see the properties. How do you know if you buy the right one? Um, every Before I was a bit embarrassed to share with them what I'm doing.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe because I wasn't confident. But after a few properties that I bought and I see it's working, I start sharing with my friends now. I start telling them, look, I buy into state. I don't have to go and see the properties. I actually like hire the property manager to look for me to inspect the property, and they do better job than me. Like even if I go and see, I probably won't have the same knowledge as property manager, the way that they look. And what's the purpose of buying this is to rent it out. So as long as it's rent out and the tenants live there, I think that's all we need. We
Yeah.
don't need to have like and a lot of time that you said is you want to take the emotional out of the investment as long as the numbers work. I think that's how I'm gonna do my all my purchase now. Even sometimes you got a temptation to fly to regional Queensland or fly to Perth and have a look at the property before. But I said, nah. I said to my husband, I said, I don't want to go and see, because once you go and see it, you might look at something like something broken, or the eave
Hmm.
is flaking, the paint job is not perfect. You might have that feeling is oh, maybe I didn't do a right job or something. So
Hmm.
I said to my husband, as long as the paint job's done, the all the locks there, or the ovens working, aircon working, tenants happy to stay, I'm happy. I don't need to go and see it.
Yeah.
So with my friends, I'm start telling them now, because I see a lot of them, the equity they have in Melbourne is there, but they don't have the confidence to invest interstate. So this is the reason why I'm going to the interview with you, and I've been to another interview, and I start sharing my to my friends and my family,
Yeah.
um, to let them know this is what I'm doing. If you need any help, I can help you buy, because it's not hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's easier than you think.
I mean, it's easy for us to say on the other side of the fence, so to speak, but yeah, it truly isn't rocket science. And like I get, right, I get why people lack confidence in buying into states. Like, who even lives in the suburb? I have no idea what the suburb looks like. But honestly speaking, like, if I was to actually visit some of the properties that I've bought, I would probably not have bought there because I would have been
Yes.
like talking to my wife. I'd be like, I don't know, it
I'm
seems
the
a bit
same. I'm the
dodgy.
same. That's why my husband, when my husband said, "Oh, should we fly to regional Queensland and have a look at the property before we bought it?" I said, "No, I don't want to see it because I wouldn't live there. So I don't know if anyone would live there, like because your expectation is different because that's where you want to live. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. I think that I learned that from my second property. It was the Mulgrave in a really good location um, near us, and it needed a lot of work. And when we went there and have a look at the bath, like the bathroom is really bad and it's further out at the back. And I said, "How can you live here?" Like, so every morning or every night when you need to go to do you go bathroom, you need to go straight, like right to the back. It's not inside the house.
Okay.
So we just thought, oh, maybe no one would want to live here, and we sell it. But apparently, it's a really good location. It's near university, so everyone wants to live there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how bad condition the house is, as long as they have somewhere closer to, they might go in uni or they might go work there. It's yeah. So that's where
Yeah.
I learn now is if something that you don't want to leave, but someone else want to leave.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean we're like, we're like slumlords and we're just like have really terrible properties that we force renters. Like, my tenants are like actually very happy with their premises. Like for them, they're very happy. When I was a university student, I would have also been very happy to live there. If I'm living there, I probably don't want to live there. But everyone's different. You're catering to the local demographic, and I think that's the beauty of property managers, which you pointed out. You can buy interstate so easily with a really, really, really good property manager because they'll tell you the on the ground reality. And just because there's not a white picket fence in front of all the properties in that road doesn't mean it's a bad street. Just because, once a week there's like a hooligan in the car that comes and does donuts in the roundabout close to your property, that doesn't mean it won't grow up. It will go up. It won't go up in value. And this is the thing, like a lot of buyers agents, especially who are like local experts, they say, oh, look, we know the best streets but honestly speaking, a lot of that stuff isn't correlated to growth. Property managers will tell you that. And so I just love how you're oozing with confidence now, Tao, buying just all over Australia, having that. The other thing I want to say as well is there is no other professional that has such a long relationship with your property than your property manager. Not
Yeah.
the buyer's agent, that's a transaction for them, not even like a mortgage broker, not the conveyancer. Once the transaction's done, they all dust off their hands, they go on to the next thing. There's no recourse. You can't call them up 2 years later, right? But the property manager is the only one. So I really do think, I've always said that, but I really do think property managers are the most important person in an investor's team. And I'm hearing you and I'm listening to you, and your attitude is so good. Like, there's kind of this saying that the altitude to which you go in your life is determined by the attitude that you have, and it's something very commendable. And you mentioned before that you're looking to help your family and friends and things, and I'll tag you in the Facebook group, and anyone can reach out to you. But
Yeah, I'm happy to help because I find buying process is so fun, and it's like my recent one in Perth. I had conversation with my painter over in Perth, and we can chat on the phone for like half an hour. It just talk about investing.
okay.
And I'm like, I love this renovation thing. I'm like, it's a strategy that I use because you don't need to spend a lot of money, but it's just a coat of paint. It will make the tenants feel like fresh.
Hmm.
They they find their house is easy to maintain, and it looks nice. Like I'm really proud of the renovation that I did for Perth. It and my husband was really proud of as well, because it was rental appraisal for like for 420, 440 originally when I bought. And when after the settlement, I've done the renovation. I didn't spend a lot. I only spent maybe 9K in painting and fix the bathtub. It's just the little things. And the property manager was saying, oh, she wants to list it at 495 because the house looks really nice. It's just the paint.
Yeah.
And we were surprised, like we say, from 440 to 495. It's a lot. It's like
Yeah.
50, $60 a week different. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure if it if you can rent it that much. And she was like confident. I said, yeah, the house looks really nice. And first viewing, with the open inspection, I got the tenants right away. They want to secure and they're happy to pay for 550.
Wow.
And
550. So
550
compared to 450,
440,
that's like 100
it's like
that's like
90.
5,000 extra a year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like more than what people's pay rises are on an annual
Yes.
basis.
And when I told my husband, he was shocked. It's like, how can it rent for 550 from 440? So that's why I think with the renovation strategy is the strategy is work.
Hmm.
It just helped to get better tenant. You attract the better tenant and you get better return.
Yeah.
Um,
I think what you've done is almost imperative, because if you have a goal to retire in 10 years' time, you, like you said at the start, you need to force value. You need to buy really sharply, a little bit below market comparables. You need to renovate, even if it's just cosmetic interstate. You don't need to fly there to do a renovation. All of it can be handled by the property manager, and like you're saying, through some relationships. I obviously teach that in the course, but you've kind of really taken the bull by the horn and just gone over and above. So I really do recommend people who want to deep dive on the renovation side of things, like please reach out to Tao, or leave questions in the
yeah,
comments below. And I think perhaps my last question, kind of a selfish question, would be like for anyone who's sort of on the fence of the property investment accelerator course. They're like, maybe my wife or my husband or my girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, one of them isn't completely sold, I want to do it, or I'm not even completely sold. Like, I love the confidence with which, and the ease and the joy with which you speak about property investing, but it wasn't always like that. You were kind of umming and ahhing, your husband wasn't supportive. What would be your advice to someone who's kind of on the fence about the course, and maybe even just property in general right now?
I think with it's hard when you believe in something, and when you do something and your partner or your husband or wife it's not in the same page, because they don't do the research, and they don't connect with other people, or networking. They wouldn't understand how it works. And I don't blame them. It just, I think when you believe in something and you really adamant to do it, and you try to convince them, I think for me it works. I have to show him the numbers, and I have to explain to him this is what I think it works. Like, do you want to work full time, or do you still want to work in 10 years time, or you want to retire in 10
Yeah.
years time? Tell me. um and I explained to him what I know. Like, if you want to retire in 10 years, you got to work harder now. You got to sacrifice something to have something in the future. It doesn't, the money doesn't drop like automatically, and you don't retire automatically. It's just it needs hard work.
Yes.
And I said to him, if we don't try now, we don't know. You have to you have to do something. It's same thing with business. Like if we don't start the business, we don't know how hard it is, and we wouldn't learn what we learn from doing business and work for somebody. So I think until I try the property investing, which I always believe it works. A lot of people retire from the property investment. A lot of strategy that people use out there. You just have to find the right strategy for you, and yeah, just master it. Just do it. Just do it. Like if you want to buy, just buy it. Don't think twice. Just start it, and then you learn from there. You learn from your mistake. I think my husband realized with me now, if I want to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah, he can't underestimate you anymore. Not that he did before, but yeah,
I
there's
want to do
something to be
something. If
said.
I want to do a course, I'll do a course. And I'll tell him later.
You got some runs on the board now. You can't say no to you. No, but it's so amazing for me to hear this, because like you can't be what you can't see. So like when people that, especially like women, they see your example, they're like, yeah, I can do it. Like it's all about backing yourself. You're more skilled, more talented than you give yourself credit for. I feel most people underestimate, what they can achieve. You seem to be the opposite. You have this natural gift of confidence, and hopefully that rubs on to everyone who watches and listens to this, Tao. But yeah, I just want to say, I mean, obviously we've been talking throughout the year, and you've done incredibly well. I think it's more than 150, maybe $200,000 close to an equity and positive cash flow properties, which you've worked for. I just want to say congratulations, and thank you for being an inspiration to the rest of the community.
Thank you, PK.
And guys, I just want to say as well, like if you want to reach out to Tao and ask questions, you can do so in the comments on the Facebook group. I'll tag her. She's an open book, so to speak. So she's probably, more than happy to help anyone if you want to get in touch. And there's almost, I think, like 100 of these client interviews now. So she's not alone. It's not like some unicorn example that's done really well. I really encourage you to educate and inspire yourselves. Anyone who's watching and listening, go through those 100 client interviews. I don't know anyone else who has that many in Australian real estate. And I really make an effort to do this, because you can't be what you can't see. So if you watch and listen to stories like Tao, you can really, change your life, really. And is it easy? Not always. Is it fun? It can be. Is it rewarding? 100%. So that's enough from me. Guys, give it a subscribe, give it a thumbs up. And once again, thank you so much, Tao.
Thanks for having me.